What's up, guys? So me and the family, we're shooting a video tonight. These are my pugs. It's Bella, Bentley, Buddy, he's the grandpa, and Bella. Yes, I have 4 pugs. I'm freaking crazy. And the only way I was able to get them all over here is I offered them crackers. That's their snack. I give them 1 cracker and I divide it up between 4 of them because they're all fat. So, okay. But on to the video, and I just wanted to let them introduce the video. I thought that'd be kind of cool, let you guys see my pugs. They're one of the, I love them way more than my fish tanks, but I love the fish tanks too. Okay, so excuse the tank. It's a little bit dirty. Today is Sunday, so everything looks clean. I'm in the process of refilling my tank. I just scrubbed the glass, and I did a 50-gallon water change. Did a pretty big one today because I was noticing more and more algae, and I ran out of the phosphate remover. But anyways, I'm rambling. So this video that I'm about to do is I'm gonna call it practical reef keeping, and you know, it's just basically setting up a saltwater tank, fish only, or a reef tank if you want to do a reef tank on a regular budget. So first thing I'm going to warn you, and I'm going to tell you about before you decide to do a saltwater fish tank. If you don't have a lot of money, or you're not prepared to spend a lot of money, don't get involved in the hobby, because it can be inexpensive, but it's still on the other hand, it's expensive. Doesn't matter which way you turn it, it's going to be expensive. Okay, the salt mixes, the live rock, the fish, they're all more expensive than freshwater. And if you're more budget conscious, I'm not saying that you can't do a saltwater tank. It may just take you longer to get to this level, or you know, if you just want to keep clowns or whatnot, you know, you can do that on it doesn't take a lot of money, but for the most part, what I'm going to say, it's a very addictive hobby, and once you get going into it, you don't want to stop, especially when you get into coral. You want to keep buying it and getting different zoanthids and different frags, and you trade them, and it's a great hobby. It's a lot of fun. But we're going to talk about you know, how to set up a saltwater tank. So the first thing is you need a tank. So if you're going, you know, the regular amount, which you're prepared to spend, you know, a lot of money, you're going to get a drilled tank, and you can make it your own sump. There's ways to cut corners. I took a 30-gallon aquarium, and I went to Lowe's, and I got some plexiglass cut out, and I siliconed it into baffles into this aquarium, and made a, you know, normally like a $300 sump. It cost me about $80 to do that. So I saved $220. That $220 helped me pay for all that rock. You know, that's a lot of live rock, and I wanted the tank to look that way. So first step is to choose the tank. If you're going to go practical and you already got a tank and you want to go with one that's not drilled, what I mean by that is it doesn't have the baffles cut out and you don't have to do plumbing. You're just going to put a hang on the back filter. What I'm going to advise you to do is to get a hang on the back skimmer. I know you see my videos and you see me saying, oh, you don't need a skimmer, blah 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 blah. Well, if you're not going to have a sump with, you know, a lot of plant growth to catch all that stuff that's floating by, and you know, there's a lot of nutrients down there on the bed of that filtration, and those plants catch it, and then they eat it and they use it to grow, and it turns into nitrates, and they kind of eat the nitrates too, keeps them low, and the process starts over and over and over again. But if you don't have that, and you're going to be doing hang on the back filters, you probably want to get a skimmer, hang on the back skimmer. You can get one from Boat Reef Supply, Marine Depot. You can get one for about $80, $90. Listen, don't go cheap on your equipment. That's the best advice I can give any new hobbyist. Save up, get the right thing. Do not go cheap, because when you buy cheap stuff, you're going to end up wanting something better, or the thing that you did buy is going to break. Take my return pump, for instance. This is what I should have started out with to begin with. I started out with a $60 one. That's all I could afford. I wanted my tank set up quick, but I knew I needed quality parts. The next thing is, after you get the skimmer, you need to talk about the water. You need to know water chemistry. You know, you're gonna have to get a hydrometer or a refractometer to measure your salt levels and water. It'll be wise for you to get an RO machine, okay? It'll produce your RO water. I'm trying to do a video, guys. Y'all be quiet. But you need to get a an RO unit because a lot of reefers say, well, I got a small tank and I go to the pet store, you know, but you don't want to have to keep going back and forth to the pet store lugging, you know, buckets of water. And what happens if you have an emergency in the middle of the night? It's good to have RO water on hand, and it's a lot cheaper. You know, you can just hook it up in your laundry room. Matter of fact, I will take you into my laundry room real quick and show you my RO unit. So my RO unit is a bulk reef supply 4-stage value. It was like $100. I got it on sale. It's like $129 and does 75 gallons per day, which is all you need, unless you have a really big tank, like a 300 or a 250. And then if you're doing a tank that big, then you don't even have to watch my video. You should already know how to set up a reef tank. But anyways, you know, even if you're getting a small tank, go ahead and buy this. They got one for 50 gallons per day. It's a little bit cheaper. Spend the money. Get, like I said, get good stuff. And get your little brute trash can. And you know, this sits right here in my laundry room. It's not really in the way or anything. And I fill up this unit with RO water. Okay. Okay, so the purpose of having RO water is because, you know, in tap water all across the country, it's different. I've used tap water before when I was on the East Coast, but the water that I had from the city was really, really pure. It had no really total dissolved solids. And what that is that's like nitrates and phosphates. Nitrates and phosphates are your enemy in your reef tank, because what they do is they cause algae to grow in your rocks. And that's the algae that you see growing, these little, you know, fuzzy algae you see growing on the glass. It's called hair algae, and they have bryopsis, and there's all kinds of different all kinds of different you know, algae that grow as a result of that, and excess nutrients in your tap water. So you need to get the high quality RO unit. All right, so after that you need to get some sand. You can get dry aragonite or you can get live sand. It doesn't matter. If you get dry sand, it's cheaper, but it takes longer for your tank to cycle. If you buy the wet sand at the Carib Sea for $20, it's already got bacteria in it. You know, you get a little bit less sand for your money, but you also get bacteria already in the sand. It's not from the ocean. It's regular bacteria they put in some saline water, and they advertise it like it comes from the ocean. It's just you know, it's nothing really special. So you can choose either or. Neither or is critical. Now, the next advice I'm going to give you is to go to Bulk Reef Supply and buy Pukani rock, Pukani dry rock, and you want to get, you know, about most of your tank, like 2/3 of your tank. If you're doing a 40-gallon tank or a 55-gallon tank, you need to you probably want to do a rule of thumb of you know, 1 pound a gallon. So if you have 40-gallon tank, you need 40 pounds of rock. I would do 50 pounds. You know, 10 extra pounds of what you need. This tank right here is a 125, and that's 250 pounds to give it those mountain looks. I wanted a different type of look for this tank, so I bought a lot more rock than I needed. But this tank has got a whole lot of filtration and it stays very healthy. But you don't need all that rock to make the tank stay healthy. Okay, but I want you to buy 3/4 of the rock that you need from Bulk Reef Supply, and get the Pukani dry rock. And then you need to get phosphate remover from your local hardware store, and you need to soak that dry rock in a bucket with phosphate removers, or you can use muriatic acid and give it an acid bath. There's videos on that on YouTube. Look it up, because you want to get all the phosphates and dissolved organics off this rock, or it's going to trash your tank. And you need to do all this before you start your tank up. You need to get your rock ready. Okay. So once you got your dry rock, then go check out this website. You know, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm a small-time YouTuber. I have 100 subscribers now, and thank you to everybody, by the way. But what I wanted, you know, back on the subject of the live rock. So then you need some seed rock. You know, people say you can do a dry rock only because you're not going to get pests. Well, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get pests. You go to the pet store, you trade frags. You're going to get Aptasia, you're going to get Majanos at one point in your career or your time keeping. I mean, if you don't, it's a miracle. I mean, because these little hitchhikers, they come in all frag plugs, all kinds of stuff. And every experience I've had, I started up a whole tank with nothing but dry rock, and lo and behold, I got all those pests. But some of the pests are really good, so I'm going to recommend that you get some seed rock. And what seed rock is, it'll have copepods, and it'll have a bunch of different bugs and critters and worms and stuff that eat trash and detritus, and they multiply into your dry rock and turn your dry rock into live rock with along with the bacteria. So there's a website. It's called Live Rock and Reef. Live Rock and Reef, and look up the Florida rock, or look up the rock with a bunch of growth on it. It's really expensive, so just order like 10 pounds of it, guys. You don't have to buy like 50 pounds of that stuff. You can just get like, if you're doing like, let's say this is a 40-gallon tank, and we're gonna cut off half the tank here, and this is like 40 gallons, and there's your rock structure right there. Okay, so boom, what I would say is about this much of the rock right here would be your base rock, which is the dry rock from Bulk Reef Supply, and the top part put in the live rock up there, and then that live rock, all the bugs and all the critters will spread into the rocks and make it go live. So that's gonna help you save money. Okay, so you got your live rock, you got your sand, you got your tank, you got your filtration, which in this case I'm advising you, if you're not using a sump, to get a protein skimmer and hang on the back. If you are going to use a sump and get your tank drilled, then you can use this method, no problem. And you just look up the Miracle Mud method on YouTube, and you can learn about how to do that. And also, I think I talked about it in some other videos. All right, so going back to starting up the tank. So once you get that started up, then you're going to need flow. Okay, so look up Jabo pumps. I highly recommend these pumps because they're very inexpensive, and I've had these pumps for these wave makers for a year, and since the tank's been running, and they're probably about 1/10 of the cost of like the competitors, like the Ecotech products, and I like the Max Spec Gyri though. Though it's a really good product for the price. It's like $130. And if you're doing a 40-gallon tank, you get the smaller one, like the 130. You can look up that. That creates a really good flow for your tank. Or, if you're doing a 40-gallon or a small tank, go nano. So these are RW8s right here. The Jabo wave pumps, they're RW8s, but you need to go with the 4s. So look up the 4s if you're going with the nano tank. And go with the smallest pump possible, because you don't want to have too much current in your tank. And because that'll stress your corals out, and some of them won't open if the flow's too fast. If you're doing all SPS, and you can learn about all this stuff later, the difference between LPS and SPS and mushrooms and all that. But anyways, the amount of flow that you want a good current, but you don't want it to be overpowering a blast in the tank. Okay. All right. So Jabo pumps, look those up, and then you got that's your gonna keep your current moving in your tank, and basically it passes the water through the live rock, and the bacteria in the rock eat the ammonias, and then it converts it to nitrate. So that's part of the filtration as well, and also it passes food particles to the corals. If you're going to do corals, if you're only going to do fish only and fish only in live rock, you don't really have to get a wave pump to begin with, but stagnant water can lead to having algae issues later on. Some people attribute lack of flow to those type of problems. All right, so after that, after flow, here's the most important thing, your most important decision. Are you ever going to want to keep an anemone for your clownfish? Are you going to want to be able to get these corals? Are you going to want to upgrade your tank one day? And if you're thinking yes, then you need to go ahead and invest in some quality lights. Okay, you need to go ahead and get yourself some quality lighting for your reef tank. Do not buy cheap. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go back on my word. There's some really good Chinese fixtures on Amazon that you can start out with. They're like $130, especially if you're doing like a 40-gallon tank, and would be a perfect start. They have built-in timers. That's what you want. You don't want to have to turn your reef tank on and off every day. If you can't come home at a certain time, or you're late, or you're running late, it's gonna, you may forget to turn off your lights, and you could fry out your tank. So that can cause a crash right there, leaving your lights on overnight. I don't really know if it will be that extreme, but it could do some damage. You can give your corals sunburn by too much light. But anyways, do your research and make sure the product that you're getting has had reviews from other people that have been using it for a couple months, and it actually grows the coral. There's a lot of those, you know, Chinese things on Amazon and eBay are scams. Like you buy those lights and they almost burn your house down. I heard like horror stories. But 915 Meng did a video on like some T247 Arctics for a frag tank. Those are pretty awesome. And I was thinking about getting those as a backup light in case the aqua illumination lights that I have go out. And then just to let you know, for a 40-gallon tank, you're only going to need one light fixture as long as the spread is 180 degrees and it covers, you know, 24 by 24. You may need two. Depends on how long your tank is. If it's a 40-gallon breeder, you're probably going to need a pretty good sized light fixture. You can also look and get into T5s. They have like 36-inch fixtures, which would be perfect for a 48 for a 36-inch tank, which that's a 40-gallon breeder. All right, so the lighting. Go ahead and just get the lights that you can grow coral with. It makes the tank look better anyway. It makes your fish look better, and that's probably one of the, you know, best things about having a tank. Now, the next part is, if you've chosen to go with a sump, go ahead and get a quality return pump. And then the last thing that I want to talk about for your gear that you need is your heaters. Do not go buy some crummy bummy heaters. That's the #1 cause for tank crashes, because they malfunction and then they end up cooking the tank because the thermostats go out on them. So make sure that you go and get you know, some protection, like they have some protection that you can put into your socket where it controls the temperature of the heater, and if it overheats, it shuts off. Some like thermostat stops. You can look at that. But they have some quality heaters. The ones that I got were Marineland, and I've used them in the past, and they've never failed on me. But so I know some people that bought cobalt heaters, and it cooked their tank, man. It nuked their whole entire tank because the black plastic on it, like something malfunctioned and it burnt. So that's it for my rant on heaters. Just make sure you get a good quality one, and one that actually will heat your tank. So if you got a 40-gallon tank, you're probably going to need about 250 watt heater. 125 is going to take 400 watts. And it's also good to buy 2 heaters. You can get 2 little heaters in case one fails and quits working, and then that other little one, without you knowing it, can kind of save your tank if you live in a cold area. You know, if you live in a kind of warm area, then and your house stays like 72 degrees, that's not really that important. But for cold areas, it's very important. Like if you live up in the Northeast or anywhere like Boston or Canada or Alaska or anything like that, you need to get yourself some heaters, because if power goes out one day, well, the power goes out, it's not going to matter. But if you know what I mean, if one of those heaters fails and your house is extremely cold or whatnot, then you're going to make sure that it stays warm. All right, so with all that said, you're now ready to get everything that you got. You got your money saved up, and you're ready to, you know, get a plan going. So now you need to look at the fish that you want to get. So start making yourself a plan now before you set up your tank. Do you want to have an aggressive tank? Do you want to get eels? Well, if you get eels or if you get stuff like that, you can't have shrimp. You can't have crabs, because those eat those. These little guys right here, these damsels. Damsels are extremely, I don't know where the hell he went. He went somewhere. I have a couple of them in the tank. They're aggressive, so learn about your fish compatibility and make up a list that's going to be good for your tank. If you have a 40-gallon tank, please, for the love of God, do not put a damn tang in a 40-gallon tank. Unless it's like a baby and you plan on getting rid of it 6 months later. That is not smart thinking. These animals right here, they need space to swim back and forth. That fish right there is going to get about 5 to 6 inches big. And the dory's hiding right now because today's Sunday maintenance day. And they need at least a minimum of 125-gallon tanks for a dory fish, because they get pretty damn big, like almost a foot. So know how big your fish are going to get. And if you're doing a 40-gallon or 55, then get nano fish. Get a bunch of like little cool fish. Also, here's another thing. We're going to talk about scooter blennies and mandarins and fish that you shouldn't even get when you first start your tank up. They eat copepods. So this guy right here makes copepods. They all breed down there, and then I pour them in the tank, and I refill them every couple of months. And they flow down to the tank and they feed the corals. But I don't have any mandarin in here because they eat amphipods, copepods, and all different kinds of bugs. And if in extremely rare cases you can find one where the pet store's got them eating frozen food, then you're rock solid. Grab that damn fish and run out the door with him. Buy him. If you can see that fish actually eating frozen food or pellets, take it and take it home. You're fine. But check first. But that's probably never going to happen. Those fish, like scooter blennies, and any kind of dragonet, they eat special kind of diet. And then butterfly fish, they eat your coral. Angels, people probably think I'm crazy because I have angels in my tank. But you know what? I keep them well fed, and I have stinging corals. Almost all the corals in here sting, or they taste bad. The coral stings, the mushroom sting, all the hammers, everything stings. So that fish is not going to bite that stuff. So I'm choosing coral to go with these angels. Like there's a flame angel right there. So if you get stinging corals, you could put dwarf angels, and you don't have to worry about them nipping and chewing at your corals for the most part. However, they can grow a liking to LPS corals, and they can eat hammers. And I've heard people say they've eaten euphyllia. So you're taking a risk and a gamble. So know which fish are reef safe and which fish aren't. Learn the term reef safe and not reef safe. So after you learn about fish, get your list, get that going. Make a plan for your tank. If you have a 40-gallon tank, I would only recommend about 10 small to medium fish, crabs and invertebrates, one anemone, and start out. Don't be afraid of coral, okay? I'm encouraging you, even if you don't have a sump and miracle mud and all the money in the world. If you go get a little hang on the back skimmer, you can easily go get colt coral, all these leathers right here, mushrooms. These little mushrooms are pretty cool. Everything's all sucked in, so they don't look as good because I just did a huge water change. But leathers and euphyllia, like torch corals, these are all very easy corals, and you shouldn't be afraid of them. Just learn about the coral. You don't really need to do anything special. All you need is good lights, and if you buy the lights, and you can take care of the coral as long as you're doing good water change and keeping up maintenance. So all right, so you have your fish list. Coral is a whole other topic. It'll take me a long time to talk about that and discuss that. So once you've got all your parts and your plan going, you want to fill your tank up, and you want to put your sand in. You want to learn how to aquascape your tank. There's aquascaping videos out there. Learn how to do the rock work. Set it up with little caves, and then it may look like there's a lot of rock in my tank, but the water flows all the way around through all parts of this tank. So there's really, really good flow. So that's why I don't have a whole lot of detritus, issues with this tank. So learn how to aquascape, and once you do your aquascaping, get done with that, you need to measure out your RO water and your salinity. Get your salinity for corals. You need 1.025 specific gravity to 2.6. Keep it around 2.5 to 2.6, and then fill your tank up with water and turn it on. And then you need to let it run for about 30 days. And this is going to sound crazy, and a lot of people are probably going to make fun of me, but I do something really funny when I set up a tank. I actually pee in a cup. Yes, I pee in a cup, and I take my own pee, and I put it in about about 4 ounces, maybe half a cup of pee, of my own pee, and I pour it in the tank. And that starts the cycle. It's just like a fish peeing in the tank. So I use that to get the cycle going. So we're going to talk about the cycle. So when your tank starts up and you start with fresh water, there's no bacteria living, especially if you're using dry rock and you have a little bit of live rock in your tank. That stuff that's on the live rock and the stuff that's in the dry rock are still decaying and are decomposing, which will make the water toxic until your biological filter, builds itself up. And once it does that, then don't do any water changes. Just leave your tank alone. You don't even have to test it. Just pee in the tank. Pee in the tank. And let that guy run for 1 month, 4 weeks. Don't buy any fish. Don't go get tempted and say, I'm going to go get some damsels and they could cycle the tank. Don't do that, man. That's not cool. That's cruel to the fish. I didn't buy that yellowtail damsel because I cycled the tank with him. I bought him because he's cool, and I had there was 3 of them, but I guess when I got them from the fish store, the other 2 had like shrunken stomachs. And it passed away. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. So you let your tank cycle for 30 days. And don't put any fish in there. And then after it's been 1 month, you're good to go. You do a 50% water change, change out half the water, and keep everything running, and go to the fish store. And then you need to start out, every week. Especially if you got a small tank, you want to do 1-2 fish a week. And then let's talk about compatibility. Buy your fish in groups. If you want to have blennies, and you want to get like 2 blennies for that tank, which is 40 gallon, is maybe not such a good idea, but it can be done. I've seen people with 3 or 4 or 5 blennies in a tank before, but I recommend introduce them in the same time. Wrasses, that little torpedo looking yellow guy. If you're going to do wrasses, you need to have powdered sand, and make sure you get a good little bit of sand for him to burrow it down into. And you need to introduce those guys at the same time. If you have a bigger tank, like a 75 or 100 gallon tank, and you want to start off with some small tangs, if you want to do more than 1 tang, you need to introduce those guys all at the same time, because they establish dominance within the tank, and then they end up killing each other. So learn about cohabitation and how fish get along. All right, so once your tank is cycled, you pretty much got everything you need to know. So that's it from start to finish. Where to buy the rock, where to save money to get pumps, the kind of lights you need, the skimmer, the water, salt mix. Salt mix is another thing. Buy 1 salt mix, stick with it. Choose a brand you want. You want to know what I'm using? I'm using regular old Instant Ocean, cheap ass, bottom of the barrel. I pay $50 for a 250 gallon box on Amazon, delivered straight to my door, the cheapest shit you can buy, and it works just fine for me. Some people, you want to use Red Sea and all that, and hey, if you're keeping like really rare corals and top notch stuff, and you want to do that, man, I'm not going to hate on you. I think that's awesome, and if you can afford to, keep a tank like that, that's really great, and I'm glad that you're blessed to be able to do that. I'm not going to say how much money I make, but, I'm on a budget. I have a family, and, I have to be able to pay the bills too, and still be able to, have fun. All right, so I think I'm going to end the video on that. If anybody has any more questions, I'm not going to talk about coral keeping or anything like that. Just buy the right lights, and your corals will do fine as long as you, do the right temperature. Keep your temperature of your tank around 78 degrees. 78.5, 79, that's it. No higher, no lower. The corals will do the best. The fish will do the best at that temperature. Their metabolisms are all affected by the temperature of the water too. But it's all the science, and it doesn't hurt after you watch my video. Read a book, Mr. Saltwater Fish Tank TV. New York Stilo has videos. I watched him when I first started out, and that's how I learned how to do my tanks. And they have videos on how to actually set the tanks up if you're confused about any of that stuff, or how to start out a protein skimmer. So if you buy a protein skimmer, you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to set it up, you can actually look up on Marine Depot. They have videos on how to set up their products and stuff like that. So, but if you need any help, or you have any questions or anything like that about anything related to setting up a reef tank or a saltwater fish tank, just label in the comments. And I wish you guys the best of luck, and if you make the decision to do a saltwater tank, it's a very rewarding hobby, and I wish you the best of success and the best of luck, and maybe we can trade some frags one day or something. All right. Well, the pugs, they're about to go to bed. It's their bedtime, so they're all tuckered out. So we're gonna say good night, guys, and peace out.